This is for the McPherson async tournament. Our abuelas grew up on their knees, worshipping a father who never believed that they were equal to their brothers, his sons, los hijos de oportunidad. In Latin American culture, machismo is a behavior in which the male exhibits an overbearing attitude to anybody he perceives as inferior, demanding complete subservience. Machismo is framed as an overwhelming pride by Hispanic men for their manhood, which often gets confused with pride in our culture. My father is a poster child for machismo, for better or for worse. You see, this becomes problematic when Latin men are forced to be manly or they aren't perceived as being authentic to their heritage. And what's worse, according to extensive research from the National Institute of Health, this attitude leads to extreme control and violence, leaving entire families and communities cowering in fear. There are a lot of things to be proud of about Hispanic culture, but our heritage, our patriarchy, is not one of them. Through the poems Perfect by Maya Mayer, Fragile Masculinity by Frequency, This Woman by Alyssa Harris, and Latina Gender Roles by Anonymous, we highlight that we must do better. Your masculinity is so fragile it would starve in a house made of kitchens. It seems to only know how to make a meal out of women's bodies. So fragile that when a woman tells you no, you hear, try harder. But when she tells you she has a man, you learn to recognize her straight. They were taught to crucify their goals and place the men and family on pedestals, taught to tame their tongues and silence their dreams, taught to swallow their screams and watch their brothers spread their wings to explore lo que les daba la gana. Our mothers were the last to sit and eat at the mesa, and the last to leave the cocina, and their only way of giving thanks was leaving crusty forks and dirty plates at the dinner table. Your masculinity is so fragile that when it shatters, it will probably still expect a woman to clean it up off the floor. I cook and I clean, and I don't stop till the soles of my feet bleed. I get up at 5 in the morning every day. I start my day the same way, worried that I'll collapse as my bones start to decay from cleaning up your scraps. But I'm fine. I'm perfect. They chose to play on golden thrones instead of helping our mothers dethrone submissive gender roles. But how are they to know? If we grew up watching our father call shots like CEOs, why is your room such a mess? The clothes go in the hamper, not littered on the floor like my dust, collecting more dust than my withered expectations. You disregard my rules and stomach contempt in a substandard attempt at teenage rebellion. But you can't be a rebel. You're not interesting enough. You need to obey and say yes and okay. You need to smile on your less than average face. You need to try harder. You make it wider. Why don't you know how to smile? Is there something wrong with you? A loose screw or two that ruined your ability to function? Why are you always so tired? Your life is uninspired and small. All you do is sprawl on the couch with outstretched limbs like a sloth in slow motion. While our mothers treated them like kings and our sisters like servants, sisters were raised to be ashamed and would lie between their legs, forced to watch the world from a prison called home. Pressured, carry purity like a crown of thorns. Our mothers bury themselves like seeds under the shadows of men. Their fathers and husbands, and the sons too blinded by privilege to know they were tired of carrying generations of machismo. So fragile that we must eventually deal with the fact that this world, it makes men hard. Because it is far less complicated than allowing to just be a human. So fragile that when it shatters, and if you're lucky, it will eventually shatter. It will die a heavy thing, having consumed so much of your being and so many messages of what it should be. So how does it taste? How does it feel to be 6 years old and still need to kneel to a macho? Abuela, madre, can we undo this tradition? For my hija, my future hija, will be raised with expectations of trophies and degrees. She will shine like the brightest masterpiece. She will never surpass her spirit or become background static. She will exist like a soundtrack album to the woman in our family. She will shout like a trompeta and roar like a tamborazo. Her abuelas wanted to be. Ode to the martyr. Also the mother who were once daughters of God and therefore saints. How many times, girls, how many times have we tried to save someone with our love, been bread, butter, and breast, done our best to give birth and give good head? I mean, wisdom, knowledge, in the name of the goddess, her madre, my madre, all our madres, she will be raised to embrace the resilience of her lineage, to love herself despite the world telling her to hate her own image. And she'll be taught that she deserves every inch of beauty that comes her way.